Phil, you're waving at me.
I want to ask a question, if I may.
Yeah.
Is there a value, do you think, because if a cold calling a broadcaster is very difficult when you've got no track record.
Absolutely.
What about the kind of, could you just talk a little bit perhaps about the way forward in terms of warehousing, where you, warehousing approach?
Yeah, I think warehousing, in other words, buddying up with somebody. So to use a local example here, let's say that you wanted to do something for a Somerset-based business or a Somerset-based NGO or a charity or a Somerset-based public sector organisation, and you had no track record. Then the best thing you could do in order to help you get through the door would be to buddy up with Phil and Deb and actually go in as a joint venture with the engine room or talk to jump cuts or whatever, depending. And it's exactly the same. You might find, of course, that you've got such a really great idea. You've found the wreck of some long lost what's his name, Blackbeard's treasure ship. It could be that you pitch it and the commissioner says, I really like the programme, I really like the story, I think you've got great access, but I don't believe you've got the experience to carry it off. They could well suggest one or more production companies for you to warehouse it with. The advantage for them is it means that they know that this programme is going to get delivered. They can trust, me or Phil or somebody, whoever it is they know in that particular company or that particular organisation. The other thing is particularly in areas like underwater, wildlife, even drama, anything, things can go wrong. Working with wall to wall or RDF or ITV, whoever it is, gives the commissioner a huge security blanket, because if the shoot goes wrong, if the storm means that you can't dive on the wreck of Blackbeard's treasure ship, then there'll be the money somewhere to remount the shoot. So there's a number of reasons for doing that, but I think particularly for those of you who don't have a track record with broadcasters, then either finding somebody who you trust and who you feel you can work with and going along with them to pitch is a really good way of making, I suppose it's a bit like having, trainer wheels on your first bicycle. You're nearly riding, but you just need that bit of help, that bit of stability. And it's that. Or, if you're lucky, you might have such a good idea that you see the commissioner, and the commissioner says, yes, but please buddy up with somebody. Does that answer your question, Phil?
It does. I remember when I left film school, Bournemouth Film School, some of my peers from college pitched ideas. For example, someone pitched an idea to Clark Production, a London-based company, because they had an idea that was in a genre, was on a subject that they knew Clark Production had a track record, successful track record in. So they'd done their research. They'd worked out, if you're going to make a film about X, it's Clark Production would be a good person to go to and talk. And what Clark Production then did was said, yes, it is an interesting idea. We'll give you desk space, we'll give you a phone, we won't pay you anything, but you can come and develop that idea and we'll support that development. And then when if the film goes ahead, probably you might get paid something and you might get a researcher credit, but you've got a toe in the door, you've got your film made, Clark Production know you, and it's the first step. Yeah. It's a hazardous route, I think, but I'm just mentioning.
Yes, I think you could get badly screwed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that would be a really useful learning experience. I suppose if you're going to do something like that, or even if you're going to go to the production company that the commissioner, the broadcaster, has suggested, make sure you've got a good contract. That's vital. And what did my granny say? Never accept a percentage of net. You'd be amazed in what you want percentage of gross. But you'd be amazed what can get expenses can get taken off in the net. I think the other thing is be aware, as Phil's already alluded to in that one, is that you might think you're ready to be the series director for this wonderful multi-part documentary that you're pitching, the warehousing, the buddied up to production company and or indeed the commissioning editor might not feel that. You might find yourself as almost like a sequence director or one of several directors putting, sequences or episodes in for that particular show. Well, a useful experience, I suppose. You just have to decide whether you're prepared to swallow your pride in order to make that as a next step on the ladder. Has anyone had to do that? I've had to ask people to do it. I've said, look, I think, yes, a really neat idea, but I'd like you to work as a researcher and to go out as, and to assist in the field, because I don't believe you've got the track, you've got the directing experience to be able to deliver this. It's tough, but I think you will have to take it.
I remember there was an idea that was floating around the closure of the Ashton Court, I forget what they were called, but there was the Cider Research Institute in Bristol, which was closing down. There was a wonderful story there, and there were people involved with trying to get it made as a documentary, and it ended up being that the person whose idea it was got to assist on a 5-minute chunk in a regional TV programme led by someone from the Wurzels. And that was basically this great documentary ended up as a 5-minute piece with the Wurzels. But in terms of that person's career, it gave them the contacts, and sometimes it's a tough business, isn't it?
Why is it that, how many of the Wurzels actually come from Sussex now? Aren't half of them Scottish or something? And why do people, as soon as you say cider, think Wurzels?
Yeah.
It puzzles me. Has anybody got any ideas or things they'd like? Anyone got an elevator pitch for a project they've got?
I just wanted to ask you, I've got a completely unique pitch that no one else has ever done, because I had a dog that lived to 25 years old, and she was the oldest bitch on the planet ever. She lived to 175 years old in human terms.
Yeah.
And someone put a photo of her in the Daily Mail, so I just wrote in and said, I'm writing a book about it, does anyone want to publish it? So publishers come to me and give me a book contract, and I want to know, how do I do that with film? I don't want to go chasing various directors. I want someone to come to say to me, look, there's a completely unique idea, they're going to make a lot of money on it, you come to me, how am I going to attract their attention in the first place?
Okay, the dog is now dead?
She is, yeah.
Okay, what footage have you got of the dog?
A fair bit of footage and an awful lot of photos, diaries, all that sort of stuff.
I think the very first question I would ask is, by a fair bit, what do you mean? Do you mean 20 hours? Do you mean 1 hour?
Actually, what I don't want to do is a documentary. I thought a feature film about her would be great, so you wouldn't need that film of the actual dog, although I do have that.
I can see it as a book. I'm struggling to see, how long, there's two things I'm struggling to see for a documentary.
I don't want to do a documentary. I'm thinking about doing a feature film.
A feature film?
Yeah.
What's special about this particular dog other than being the oldest dog that's ever lived?
She lived with animal rights activists. We gave her a vegan diet that was completely different, and I also want to market that because it will slash the...
Okay, so what's beginning to happen is that interesting things are coming out.
Yeah.
Could you take that story? This is the story of a dog that I'm trying to do it as we go along.
Yeah.
This is the story of a dog which lived through some of the UK's most exciting animal rights demonstrations.
Yeah.
And there's that.
She had friends that went to prison for nasty things and stuff like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Can you, if you're wanting to tell the story, this is the story of the UK's animal rights movement seen through the eyes of a dog. Is that what it is?
No,
for instance, what is it?
No, it's a story of a dog that lived through unique times, that went to Greenham Common, that met people that have done great things for animal rights, and it's also the story of her diet, which would slash CO2 emissions because the pet food industry contributes massively to greenhouse gases, and her diet will cut all that shit out.
I think that there are two different things here. Documentary feature is not an area I admit I'm strong on.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that there are two things. You've got one of which could appeal, but they will appeal to different people.
Yeah.
Cutting emissions by turning our pets vegan,
Yeah.
that's in the inconvenient truth genre. That is a sort of, that is a documentary, that is an issue-based documentary.
That's really for the book, but that's just...
Yeah, but so if you conflate, if you put the two together, conflate, not a word used by 12-year-olds, if you put the two together, then what you're doing is the drama people want to know about the story of this dog, the who, the what, the why, the when, and the how.
Yep.
Okay? If you tell them about vegan diet, there's two things they're going to think. Okay, how does that help me at in this very high level, one line stage? Yeah. And also it sounds a bit sort of alternative and hippie. So which means
not really.
Okay, I mean but remember, feature films and television only exist because people want to watch them. So that commissioners who are cynical, metropolitan by and large, people, most of them have never made a program in their life. Many of them won't have dogs. Yeah. You've got quite a big hill. I believe you've got quite a big hill to climb.
I don't, because I was approached for the book, and I think.
But sorry, the reason I'm saying this is I think that book is very different. Yeah. Book is relatively low cost to produce.
Well, if you look
compared to a feature film.
If you look at stuff like,
John.
Can I just say?
I just wonder whether she has got any offspring that you could then perhaps start to look at her offspring in terms of the previous life. No. She has no offspring. Okay. It was just a thought that there's a way of looking at perhaps her sons and daughters. If they were following the same diet or same lifestyle.
I had a dog that lived to 20. That was my first experimental dog. We put her on the diet, she lived to 20. Second one went to 25. We could have probably got longer out of the next one if we continued with that. We were otherwise engaged.
With all due respect, which means I'm going to be quite rude. I personally don't see that as a feature film.
Well,
Marley
and Me made lots of money, and it's a much better story than that, which was fairly anodyne.
In that case, let me go back to what I said about clarity and about who you're pitching to.
Yeah.
Can you get that story down to, basically the tweet? Can you get it to 140 characters? Yeah. If you can, and it's clear, then I think you've got a chance. Yeah. I think there might be a documentary somewhere there, but I'm not sure what slot it would fit in. I don't know where it would go. You've also got to be aware, I pitched a show about farming practices, a regional show, and was told no, we couldn't possibly show that because in the slot we put that in, a lot of the ads are paid for by companies that supply farmers with, chemicals and so on like that. So, there are a number of issues that,
Well, actually, there's a lot of stuff that's being sold by people that would like to promote it. Yeah. Where at the moment it's seen as bog standard stuff that no one's really interested in, but actually it's got an amazing effect. So I think there's marketing stuff.
But you see, I think the problem is that you had 40 seconds to convince me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I don't think you're yet clear, which is fair enough, about what the story is.
I am actually.
Okay, well, you're clear, but I'm afraid I didn't get it.
Well, it's the story of the old how a dog, a bog standard collie, managed to live to 175 years old, essentially in human terms. How she got there.
Okay, to me, for my channel, no. It doesn't. I don't know how you're going to tell that story.
No, but there are a lot of animal people out there, dog owners, that will be right. My dog's not too well. How do we get rid of the arthritis? Whatever. There are a lot of people that own dogs out there that will be interested in the longevity of their animals.
Try Horse and Country if it's still going. Or look at who might do that. You might find some wealthy, vegan pet food magnate.
I think everyone with a pet will be interested. Everyone with an elderly dog will be interested in.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be, but I think it's going to be a very difficult sell until you can say in one line why it's dramatic and why it's going to interest everybody.
It's dramatic because she lived till nearly 200 years old, essentially. So.
Well, okay, yeah. So. To me, a dramatic story about a dog is about a dog that rescues somebody who fell off a fishing boat.
It's also about genetics and so forth. If you could do that with humans...
Fine. Let's talk about this afterwards to give other people a chance.
Sure.
Okay?